Chapter 1. Home Invasion. The Sangamon flows muddy and rank through the corn and soybean fields of central Illinois, giving its name to my city and the lake it fills on the south side before continuing its meander west. One of its tributaries, the even lazier and muddier Harold's Creek, ran practically up to my back door in its own journey through the woods behind the homes on Oak Street. The afternoon sun filtered through the tall trees, warming my shoulders as I walked along the creek, imagining building a raft like I had seen my brother and his friends do a few years before. I would ride it down the creek to the Sangamon and into the Illinois, eventually reaching the Mississippi. The Mississippi would take me to New Orleans, a city memorialized in song, literature, and film as a place of wonder. It wasn't that I needed to run away like Huckleberry Finn. I hadn't yet learned to hate everything the Sangamon gave its name to. It was a boy's fantasy brought on by the heat of summer and the mesmerizingly sluggish flow of water. I heard a branch snap deep in the woods. I often saw hobos from the nearby Wabash line wandering in the woods, and my mother told me I needed to avoid them, but I sometimes watched them from behind a clump of bushes. My eyes darted about the area and saw nothing. I glanced at my watch. Time to go. For most kids, these were the carefree days of summer, but I had things to do. From the creek, I walked up the hill through our backyard and out to the street. Mrs. Sloane's heavy oak door hung wide open while a screen kept the swarms of late summer flies and mosquitoes at bay. I put my face to the mesh in what felt like an invasion of her privacy, causing me to tingle from the top of my head down to my big toes. "Hello, Mrs. Sloane?" I shouted into the dim interior of the hall. No answer. I opened the screen door haltingly and stepped inside. The door creaked shut, sounding painful in the silence of the house. I took a step, and then another. My legs shook. I peered to the right into the living room and left into the dining room. A force had taken control of me and pushed me on, my sneakers barely touching the carpet. I went as far as the kitchen, passing 2 empty bedrooms on the way. Her purse sat on the yellow chrome Formica kitchen table, the keys to her Oldsmobile right next to it. Out the kitchen window, I searched for her floppy straw hat in the sunny backyard. She was neither in the garden where she often tended her vegetables, nor in the lawn chair where she sometimes sat, large sunglasses on her nose and a cocktail in hand. I took note the lawn needed mowing. Nylons hung over the bathroom shower curtain rod, hypnotically swaying in the breeze from the open window. Though we called her Mrs. Sloane, I had never heard of a Mr. Sloane. My father once complained about entering the bathroom and finding my mother's nylons drying in plain sight. I wondered if Mrs. Sloane was sad living alone, or happy she had the freedom to do what she wanted. I should have been scared of her coming home and finding me lurking in her house, but a stronger force blocked the fear, a compelling energy moving my mind and body, making me feel impervious to danger. I continued down the hall to the living room, stopping to gaze at each of 3 framed needlepoint messages. "There's nothing to fear but fear itself," "A cheery smile makes life worthwhile," and "You belong among the wildflowers." I'd come to Mrs. Sloane's door in my rounds, collecting for my paper route. She was a month behind in her payments, and I rationalized my invasion of her home out of concern for her welfare. My mother once said she wouldn't be surprised to find her passed out drunk on the front lawn one day. My brother in high school sometimes came home from a night of drinking with his buddies and would collapse face down on his bed in our shared room without removing his clothes or shoes. One time he ended up on the floor. Perhaps Mrs. Sloane had fallen like my brother. Perhaps she had fallen asleep in the bath and was at risk of drowning like I had seen on a television program. I spent a few more minutes in the house before exiting through the front door into the calm and quiet on Oak Street. I continued up the block to do the rest of the collections. That night, I drew a floor plan of her home, noting doors and windows. My brother called me a weirdo when the first thing I looked at in the Sunday paper was the page with the floor plan of a new house on the market, while he went for the sports section, my father the news, and my mother the book reviews. I also scribbled notes about Mrs. Sloane's house, the color and the shape of her purse, the black and white photo of a somber, older couple in the living room, the buff-colored nylons, the approximately 12-inch cross hanging over her bed, and the needlepoint messages. Before I entered my teenage years, I would know my way in and out of most every house on the block without being discovered. It was the Midwest. It was the 60s. Crime happened elsewhere,